And I'm able to get all this context and information thanks to Ground News. My favorite Ground News feature at the moment is their blind spot feed. With a bird's eye view of issues that tend to get more attention from the left or right than others, I can easily step out of my echo chamber and understand how partisan narratives shape reality and votes. This can help with staying informed but not overwhelmed, something I think we could all use right now. I'm always really impressed with Ground News and genuinely think they're a great resource for identifying biases in the media. So scan my QR code, click the link in the description, or go to ground.news/Legia to get an increased discount of 50% off the same Vantage plan I use to stay informed, which comes to about $5 a month, only for a limited time. Get unlimited access to all Ground News has to offer while helping an independent team keep the media transparent. Thanks, Ground News. Leading up to this election, despite some renegade pollsters predicting decisive Harris landslides across the country, most polls showed that this race was truly neck and neck. And in this, the polls were not wrong. Trump's win was not a landslide, but it wasn't outside the realm of possibility given what we knew going into yesterday. And yet, I personally was not prepared for this outcome, if I can be honest. I simply could not be bothered to even put makeup on for those of you watching the video version of this podcast, because we're keeping it real and raw for you today here at Why America with Legia Miller, the show that uncovers the why behind the headlines, okay? I did not adequately emotionally prepare myself for this. I really bought into the hype. I really felt like this momentum and hope I was feeling for the first time since 2016 wouldn't end like it did in 2016. And as much as I hate to be proven wrong, I can admit when it happens. And while I feel taken by surprise, I don't feel quite like how I felt in 2016. 2016 floored me because I've spent my life in liberal bubbles and was caught wholly unaware of the bigotry and hatred in this country. I had truly eaten up the lie that I was taught since grade school that was a thing of the past. Today, I'm less surprised to have confirmed for me what I already learned back in 2016. But I think the thing that is so disheartening is that in 2016, I could tell myself, these people have no idea what they just signed up for. They just weren't paying attention. They just know Trump as a businessman. Surely, if they knew of how he speaks about people, what his policy proposals are, they wouldn't have voted for him. I cannot today be reassured about that. People know who Trump is. They watched his criminal trial unfold. They've listened to him and the people he surrounds himself with call immigrants in other countries foul names. They've watched as, in courtroom after courtroom, he's been found liable for sexual assault. Even if they're not familiar with the inner workings of Project 2025 or who Peter Thiel is, they've listened to him say there'll be no more elections after him and he'll be a dictator on day one. They watched our Capitol be overtaken on January 6th, 2021, and the hundreds of prosecutions that came after that. And they said, very decisively, sign me up for another 4 years. In the early hours of this morning, Donald Trump said that this is a referendum, and it is. Harris put up a good fight, but Trump just won the popular vote, a first for a Republican in 2 decades. The New York Times has a map showing the shift since 2020 in each county, left or right. It's a sea of red. This was a rightward swing across the country, and this was not a fluke. Even my county, where Minneapolis is, moved slightly right. And people knew who they were voting for. We love watching those gotcha videos from Trump rallies where some wily liberal gets a Republican voter to say the darndest things, because we can point and say, they're just dumb. They just don't actually know what they're saying. But I think that lets them off the hook too easily. They know. They know what they voted for. Maybe not everything, and none of us can predict the true consequences, but they knew what they were doing. And for me, I think what happened is I deluded myself into thinking that finally things were scary enough, that real consequences were being felt across the country, that issues like abortion, women's rights, LGBTQ rights, those things would matter enough that people would remove their heads from their own asses and vote to protect the people around them. I see now that that was naive. The results, along with the exit polling, shows that, as always, people's perception of the economy and their own pocketbook is the number one thing that animated this election. For white people specifically. White women predictably did not show up and create a wave of change this year. As with 2016 and 2020, white people who hold most of the economic power voted for Republicans, the party that is perceived as better at the economy. Even young white people did not vote overwhelmingly Democrat. NBC exit polling shows that a majority of those polled, 67%, feel the economy is not so good or poor, and those who felt that way voted a majority Republican. 45% of respondents believe their family's financial situation is worse today than it was 4 years ago, and 80% of those people voted Republican. Fully 75% of respondents say inflation has caused their family moderate or severe hardship, and most of those people voted Republican. 72% said they feel either dissatisfied or angry about the way things are going in this country, and most of those people voted Republican. On the things Americans tend to care about the most, they perceived Trump to be the best at dealing with them across the board. The economy, immigration, crime and safety. 58% either somewhat or strongly disapprove of Joe Biden, and of those people, they voted overwhelmingly Republican. The numbers are pointing to the fact that people do not like how things have been going, and they see, despite all odds and evidence to the contrary, despite hundreds of economists saying, hey, Trump's economic plans will actually be disastrous, they see Trump as the solution to those problems. Fully 43% of those responding to exit polls confirm that they do not see Donald Trump's views as too extreme. 43%. This is America. This is not who we are now. This is not a seismic shift. This is who we are. The polling accurately predicted this. There was no widespread voter fraud. The people have spoken. Numerous hoax bomb threats were called in key battleground states, causing some confusion and later than expected poll closings. The FBI is investigating potential Russian links to those bomb threats. In a future video, I will break down all the ways that this election was tampered with by outside actors, both foreign governments and domestic billionaires. But I want to make clear that there is no evidence or credible accusations as of this recording of massive voter fraud, enough to have gained Trump 5 million popular votes in all of the swing states he's won. He won this as legitimately as an election can be won in a system with a racist electoral college that allows for billions and billions of dollars to be spent indiscriminately to sway the results. The people have spoken. Let's talk about what this means going forward. A number of states yesterday voted to enshrine the right to an abortion in their state constitutions. That's a silver lining in an otherwise grim day. The other silver lining being that here in Minnesota, we get to keep thin walls. Yay. And Trump has said repeatedly that the question of abortion should be left to the states. States' rights is a favorite tenet of Republican beliefs when it serves their purposes. There is absolutely a world, however, where a national abortion ban could be introduced and passed. We are still waiting to see if the House is going to be majority Democrat or Republican, but we already know that there is a strong right to abortion there. And the Senate is now controlled by a Republican majority. Whether that federal law can trump the state laws across the country protecting abortion is likely a question that will need to be litigated, given that the Supreme Court said pretty decisively in Dobbs that the decision should be with the states. But there's also a world where the Supreme Court once again overrules itself in order to allow the federal ban to move forward. And speaking of the Supreme Court, Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito will retire during Trump's term. I would fire them. Oh, so I can ride off into the sunset, legacy intact, facing zero consequences for my clear ethical violations, going out full-time with my billionaire friends with zero scrutiny, and profiting unchecked off that intact reputation through book deals and speaking gigs, all while knowing that I will be replaced by equal, if not more, conservative justices who are much younger than me and can retain the conservative majority in court long after I'm dead, and I'll be seen as a selfless hero by conservatives everywhere? Yeah, sign me up. And with a majority in the Senate, a majority that is no longer filled by any Republicans who are willing to stand up to Trump, Trump will have very little standing in the way of his cabinet or judicial appointees, not just to the Supreme Court, but to every federal judiciary in the country. And I don't think Sonia Sotomayor retiring now is going to solve that, given the Republicans' history of blocking Supreme Court nominations by Democratic presidents. Those judicial appointments, in turn, will assist with Republican-led efforts to sail above any attempted legal challenges to whatever new batshit crazy law they want to pass. Based on what Trump has promised and what Project 2025 will call for, the manifesto for which will no doubt not only land on Trump's desk on day one, but also be distributed to every conservative member of Congress. Those crazy laws, either passed by Congress or enacted through presidential executive order, will include enacting oppressively high tariffs on all goods coming from outside the U.S., a move economists have rolled over predict would change not only the U.S. economy, but the entire global economy as well, leading to severe price hikes and job losses. Firing civil servants and changing their jobs to be by presidential appointments so you can insert loyalists at every agency in the government. Using the impoundment power to block federal funding to agencies, getting rid of the EPA, the Department of Education, and severely limiting the capacities of key agencies that protect consumers and regulate the safety of everything from pharmaceuticals to deli meats. Lena Khan, head of the FTC, has been hard at work suing the pants off mega corporations for their unconscionable monopolistic practices. She will be out, and any lawsuit underway will be terminated. Corporations whose billionaire owners were hard at work this election season throwing money at Trump in the hopes of this exact outcome will be able to grow unchecked, knowing they will face little to no consequences for their actions. Carrying out the largest deportation in history, including reinstating the Muslim ban, Remain in Mexico, and other policies that saw children locked in cages at the border. This could include rescinding DACA, refugee protections, and many other policies that have allowed people to immigrate legally to this country, and the deportation of those immigrants who came in through those legal channels. If successful, the deportation plan will cost billions of dollars and will likely scoop up lawful residents and U.S. citizens in their dragnets. Mass tax cuts for the rich, which will further increase the federal deficit, all but ensuring the end to Social Security benefits. deep cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, and all other social safety nets that millions of people rely on throughout the country, withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreement, removal of tax incentives for green initiatives, and a deep expansion of our reliance on fossil fuels, withdrawal from NATO and a deepening divide between the U.S. and our historic allies, and more. And all of this will go largely unchecked by a judiciary that will be dominated by conservative Trump appointees from top to bottom. This is all stuff we've been talking about on this show for years at this point, and I don't mean to freak you out by presenting them all to you again, but I'm someone who tends to want to face the facts and find solutions. Today, I don't really have solutions for you, but I do have facts. This is the part where I'm supposed to give you a pep talk and say, hey, listen, we live to fight another day. The arc of the universe bends towards justice. We can't let them win. I'm not feeling that today. I've been reconsidering my decision not to move to Europe, which I made a whole episode about. I've been wondering if there's any point to continuing this show because clearly I'm screaming into a void. I'm gonna continue because I do care and I have bills to pay, but I'm just being honest about what's been going through my head and the panic I've been feeling since about 10 o'clock last night when I realized this wasn't going my way. Saying, hey, let's keep fighting is not in my heart right now, and it's fine if it's not in yours either. This is America. The fight is very hard when fully over half the electorate lives a very different life from the other half. We don't interact. We don't live in the same areas. We don't consume the same media. We possess values that are fundamentally different. We have worldviews that are diametrically opposed. I've made optimistic episodes about how important it is to talk to people you don't agree with, but today at least, I'm feeling pretty pessimistic about any of that mattering. But I am a solutions-oriented person, if nothing else, so despite feeling a combination of numbness and despair, and not being in a place to give y'all a pep talk right now, I am interested in talking solutions. The reality is, we cannot rely on the federal government to do anything for us. We cannot rely on the federal courts to check them either. At the very least, we can rely, at least in part, on, hopefully, some adherence to the central Republican tenet of states' rights. We have to focus locally. I made a whole episode on how to get involved in local politics. Please check that out. It is more important now than ever. Who's your governor? Who's your mayor? Who are your state representatives? Who represents you on city council? Follow their social media. Put their numbers on speed dial. Save their email addresses. Find a local advocacy organization doing work you care about. They typically track local legislation and will have information so you can learn what's happening locally and reach out to your representatives to talk about the issues. Push for non-winner-take-all elections like ranked choice voting to help grow the voices of third parties. Your voice is so much louder at the local level than it is on the national level, especially if you are part of a group of like-minded people who you can represent when you go visit your legislator and say, hey, me and this entire group of people feel this way about this piece of legislation. That is a powerful amount of sway. In places like here in Minnesota, we did push further right in this election, but Minneapolis is still overwhelmingly blue, and the momentum to the right isn't too big to overcome. If you live in a red state, this would still be an uphill battle. If I'm being completely honest with you, if I lived in a red state, I would leave. I know that's not possible for many people for so many reasons, but I would do my fucking darndest to figure out a way to make it work. But that's just because today, at this moment in time, I'm so fucking exhausted. I would tap the fuck out if faced with those odds. Maybe at the very least move to a blue part of your red state. But despite those odds, there is progress that can be made at the local level, even in the reddest of states. Whether that's finding the blue dot city or making your voice as loud as possible despite the sea of red, there is power in keeping it local. Because despite my exhaustion and numbness right now, there is a little spark inside me that feels like wanting to be ungovernable. I don't mean like anarchists burning down buildings. I mean like Sinead O'Connor ungovernable. Shave your head. Tear up pictures of the Pope. Wear weird shit. Be unapologetically loud at city council meetings. I don't know. For now, though, I'm going to end this video a little short. I'm going to go lay on the couch. And that's okay, too. Take care of yourself and the people closest to you. That is a radical act in itself. If you want ad-free and uncensored versions of these videos, join me over on Patreon at patreon.com. Thank you to my multi-platinum patrons, Rex.
Who the fuck touched your weapon safety, soldier?
Hardpoint active. Hardpoint is secure. Hostiles have captured the hardpoint.
Suppose I get the big speech. What about $2 words in it?
Mulder, you're all washed up.
Put your best shirt on. We're back to the rules of the fools whose research started as a boy now. I'm an old man, but I just want one last kick at the can. So
Hello, everyone. Prank Stallone here. Where do I look? Where's the... Oh, there it is. I'm here out in the wilderness. I have gone off grid. When I learned of the election results, I immediately left society, and I now live in the wilderness by myself. Shocking results. I cannot believe the Democrats managed to lose, even with Liz Cheney in their camp. So we did do some election coverage, some decision day coverage, and we want to present that to you now. First off, of course, Donald Trump did win, but it's important to remember that even if he did not win, there was a lot of people who are willing to basically sue America to make sure that he did. And Rickard Jones, our political analyst, talked to one of them, some lady, and there was a guy as well. Check it out.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Decision Day 2024. Working on the graphic. There's an issue with the graphic, but everything is really just the spelling on decision is not correct on it, but everything's sort of... And I am, of course, Rickard Jones, and this is the big day that we've all been waiting for. So it is just crazy around here and around everywhere, I would imagine. And we're joined by, from the United Sovereign Americans, it is Marley Hornick. Marley, thank you for joining us here on Decision Day.
Thanks so much for having us here.
I have so much. I mean, I am like, as far as the analysis type stuff, and like, I mean, it's like there's just so much stuff to sort of. You feel like you get yourself lost in it sometimes. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Yeah, and here
I do.
I'm dropping it all over the place, and I apologize for this, but and when this is the big day that everyone's been waiting for, and you are part of a group that. It's not the sovereign citizens, right? Like from the videos who do the, when they're in court and they say, I don't believe in the law. And
no, it's got nothing to do with that. The last thing any of us want to do is eschew the opportunity to be American citizens. We love our country. We simply want to see the principles upheld in representative government.
And you want them to be, you just want it to be fair, that's all, right?
Correct.
We just want it to be fair and balanced, and you're getting out ahead of it right now. I understand you're doing the pre-file on the lawsuits just to say, we know this shit's going to go down. Let's just get the pre-file. By the way, I haven't done my laundry in about 6 weeks. This is what's, you know what I mean, as far as how busy it gets around here with everything. So, do you, I have a...
Hardpoint located. Hardpoint locked down.
Apologies, I need to do that sometimes to chill out. But I thought there was another guy too. Oh, hang on one second.
So we did pre-file, actually, Rick, in answer to your question.
What is a pre-file? What's a pre-file mean exactly?
Well, what we did was we filed lawsuits based on our analysis of the 2022 midterm in 9 states. We did an analysis of the midterm in 21 states.
So Donald Trump he won in 2020 or he didn't win in 2020?
Forget about it.
Or you what?
I don't know the answer to that question. I don't think anyone
He lost officially as far as legally speaking. As of now, he lost.
No. I would say that the election was certified out of his favor, but my personal observation is that the election was stolen from the American people. An election is never stolen from a candidate. It's always stolen from the citizens, because it is the citizens who have the right to choose.
Correct. Absolutely correct. I'm having I just realized. Did you vote? Did you vote?
I mean, everyone should vote.
You did, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna ask you who you voted for, but it just fucking dawned on me that I've been so mixed up in the analysis and everything like that. I forgot to.
Well, you should go and do that.
Yeah, I can still. What time do I have to? What can I get in by? What time? I'm in Florida.
I don't know where you live, and I don't know what the laws are
I live
where
in
you
Florida.
live. Yeah, I don't know what the laws or rules are for your polling
site.
site.
Either. Do you have to register stuff beforehand and get stuff beforehand done?
I think that it's time for me to get to another call that I have coming in. So I thank you so much for your time and your interest in United
You
Sovereign
got other stuff
Americans.
going on or what?
Yeah. So I wish you well. Thank you so much. Good night.
How's it going?
Going good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you just fine. Just some lady just left the interview. She didn't want to do it anymore. And it was going to be two people on the interview, and she just left. She said, hey, it's time for me to go to another interview.
Oh, interesting.
It's like, what the hell is your deal? Her name was, she was on, she was like a sovereign citizen or something, or...
No, it's got nothing to do with that.
She was a sovereign United States, sovereign Americans. She's basically filing a lawsuit to about the elections to say they're probably not even fair already.
Wow. So what? Tell me about Liberty Live.
We're doing some election coverage, and it is Decision Day 2024. Here comes the Mac. Mac, what do you do on? The thing is, I've got like the analysis that I'm working with here is. I'm buried in it at this point, basically. So it's like, I haven't done my laundry in 6 to 7 weeks, basically. And what the fuck, Mac? Where the hell's Mac gone to? Fucking Decision Day. We can't get... Your decision is to leave the show immediately? Fucking fuck off. I'll leave then, too.
Ryan Fournier is the president of Students for Trump, and he got caught fudging some information on Twitter before the election, sending an email to himself and then passing it off as a pollster's email. Now, it turns out he did win, but he still got caught, and he was still very embarrassed, and he still got very mad. And he's probably less mad now, but he was mad then. Check it out.
Hello?
Hey, who is this?
Oh, it's David calling. Is it Ryan?
Team Deathmatch.
Yeah.
Playtime's
Oh,
over.
okay, no
Let's see what
problem.
you're
It's
made of.
Ryan. It's Ryan Fournier, right? Students for Trump. I have the right person. I'm not. Speaking of the,
Yeah, who is this? What news outlet is this?
no problem. My name is David. I was just curious about. You posted something about some pollsters sending you something, and then people increased the brightness, and it showed that you sent it to yourself, and then you deleted the tweet and didn't say anything else about it. Do you not think people are gonna share that screenshot around and use it to sort of discredit you?
Who are you? I mean, no, somebody took a screenshot of what I sent, and they modified the screenshot, and then they put it out there.
Why'd you delete
in
it
the
then?
secondary list? Because I didn't want to deal with the commentary.
The commentary,
I
people
didn't want to
calling you
deal
a
with
hack
that.
and stuff like that. Yeah, no, I hear you. So somebody shared it.
No, it's not the commentary of people calling me a hack. I just didn't want to deal with that. If you want me to give you the guy's phone number to call him, that he actually sent me the screenshot, then I will.
Okay, I'd love the
But
number. What's the number?
Who the fuck are you to call me?
Is this how you
And
don't have to put on this fake voice.
accusations.
You don't have to put on this fake voice for me. You can just talk in your normal voice. You don't have to affect your voice like this.
It's not my fake voice.
what's-
I mean, this is my real voice when I talk to
There's
you.
no way this could
But
be
you're trying
anybody's
to
real
make
voice. But what's the
something
phone number of the guy?
Of a screenshot. You're trying to make something of a screenshot.
Ryan, what's the
that is
phone number
false.
of the guy?
And if you ever call me again...
What are you gonna do about it?
Oh,
What are you gonna
fuck
do?
you.
Oh, hello. This is David speaking. Who am I speaking to?
Well, I just got a call from you quite a few minutes ago.
It was just a couple of minutes ago, correct? I believe we were speaking about when you tried to pretend like somebody sent you an email about the polls, and it was actually you sending yourself an email, and you got called out for it in community.
No, I didn't
And
send
then-
myself.
and then you
email. You're
deleted
just
it.
using fake numbers.
And then you deleted
And,
it, and then you deleted
edited
it because you're
photo.
embarrassing. What? What am I using?
Oh, no, it was an edited photo that somebody screenshotted, and then they edited it to make it look that way.
Why did the
And I
community
just
know?
didn't
Why
want
did
to
the
deal
community know?
with dealing with you leftist hacks.
I believe in Elon
You guys
Musk. I
do
believe in
this.
Elon Musk and his
You
community note
guys do
system.
this all the time.
Ryan,
You don't give a fuck. fuck
Ryan,
what you put out. You just believe in one narrative and one narrative only.
Can you please talk
Just
normally?
create it.
Please talk in a normal voice when you're speaking to me. It's disrespectful how you're talking to me in this fake affected voice.
It's not a fake affected voice.
No, this is not a human voice.
I don't know why you keep saying that.
It's all good, brother. We'll see who wins this thing, and at the end of the day...
No, I hope we win because I think you're a scumbag.
By the way, I'm recording this. I'll tell you who I am. I post all my calls publicly. I have a channel. Do you want to know who I am? I don't mind telling you exactly who I am. What do you mean you'll find out who I am?
I'm not going to figure out who you are to do harm to you, but I am going to figure out who you are to put harassment claims.
I'll literally tell you who I am. I'll tell you who I am.
Because you spammed my phone numerous times.
I only called you 3 times.
I don't really even care. You're going to just say something. And I will eventually just figure out who you are through my connection.
How about I just tell you who I am? You don't have to use any connections. I'll literally tell you my full name, my address, my phone number. I'll tell you where I'm going to post this call up on my channel.
Do you get horny? Do I make you horny? Calling people who disagree with you.
Yes, sir, I do.
Do you just live by that?
I get horny. I am absolutely, my pants are shorter right now. I am fully 10 hot at the moment, as my friend Grease Man would say. I'm fully 10 hot.
I'm glad you're going to make videos off this. You know, the only reason why I answered your call is because you called me like 4 times.
3.
And I was wondering who the hell was
you
your
3
number.
times. I only called you 3 times. It sucks, I know, man. It's embarrassing to get caught out.
I will take a screenshot of that, and then somebody on the left will say, oh, no, that's fake.
How old are you?
I'm not going to tell you that. You can look at my Wikipedia page, bitch. Go fuck yourself. You're just a fraud. You just want to get attention to gain yourself money on the internet. I mean, you don't represent anything. You're somebody who probably has a failed marriage with a girl that you loved for years.
You want to talk to my wife? You want to talk to my wife, sir?
Okay, so we decided a good idea would be to end this with a non-political, fun sort of call. Just something to take our mind off it. A fun little sports call from Darius, a new caller who loves the Vancouver Whitecaps. Check it out.
Call from
Darius.
Darius, what's going on? You're on the air.
Not too much. Thanks so much for taking my call. Appreciate it. Loving the show so far today. Want to get your take on the tremendous performance from Gall last night. Goal, 2 helpers created 2 own goals. Fortunate that game 3 against LAFC, the number 1 overall in the West. Do you think Vancouver has a chance to move on and make something happen here?
I'm going to say yes, but I've got to be honest with you. I know nothing about soccer.
So.
God damn, I love this.
But I'm going to say yes. Sure. Whoever you're pulling for, I hope they win. I have no idea, though. I'll be totally honest with you. I'm
pulling for the Whitecaps, Vancouver Whitecaps FC, okay. Brian Gall, the Gall's father. Let's get it out there.
Okay, fair enough. Go Vancouver, then.
Are you not...
I'm on your side.
Who are you cheering for?
I'll go Vancouver, man. I mean, listen, I don't have a dog in the fight.
No, I mean, like, who are you cheering for in the SEC? Who's your team?
Yeah, so I'm a South Carolina guy.
South Carolina Gamecocks?
Yeah, Gamecocks, yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna, you know what? How about this? You support my guys over there. I'm gonna support your guys. I'm gonna go Gamecocks all day long. I'm gonna up the Gamecocks out here in Vancouver, British Columbia. We can do sort of a sister city type thing. So where are they at right now?
South Carolina is they just got to 6-3, I think, something like that. So yeah, just came off that win against A&M. So they're in a good spot. No, they're not in the playoff though. I mean, maybe if they win out, I don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, they're having a good year. I mean, I don't think any.
Hopefully some building blocks and things to build off of, for the future. Hopefully got some good blue chips or whatever. But yeah, 6-3, not bad. Unfortunately, in the college football game, that ain't doing so much. Same sort of winning percentage for the Whitecaps this year. Got them into the playoffs, no problem. They had to sneak in past Portland in the 9-8 game, but they absolutely spanked them 5-0. And I got something for you. All sports fans will appreciate this. Can you imagine this? Vancouver is supposed to host their first playoff game. Their stadium was double booked for a motocross event. They had to give up the home field advantage.
No good. It's no bueno.
Can you imagine that? You imagine if the G-Cox had to give up home field advantage against a damn Texas A&M in a damn bowl game? It wouldn't work in a bowl game because that's played in a... Anyway, thanks so much for taking my call. You have a good day, sir.
Hey, appreciate it, man. Go Vancouver. Appreciate you.
Yeah, go Gamecocks.
Appreciate it, man. One of the more interesting calls we've ever had. That was, that was quite something. By the way, 5-3, not 6-3. I misspoke there. South Carolina trying to go into the month of November, getting their 6th win. They are 5-3. So, my apologies. I messed up the record there. How about that? Go Vancouver. Go Vancouver.
All right, everyone. Well, it's important to remember we got to stick together. People have been through this before. All right, folks. Well, it's important to remember, stick together, help each other out, be good to each other when you can, and let's try to still laugh as well.
Today's video is sponsored by Simply Safe. There's no safe like Simply Safe. A couple of months ago, Microsoft officially stopped supporting a major part of the Xbox 360 online infrastructure. Yes, sadly, the Xbox 360 marketplace is now shut down forever. Truly the end of an era.
It's probably ideal to realize that the store is dying.
This Xbox 360 shutdown drama got me looking into the history of Xbox Live itself and kind of reflecting on some of my own experiences from back in the day. Like growing up, I remember playing BlackOps on the 360 and I always remember hearing these outlandish urban legends from players. You know, some guy getting so mad over Xbox Live that he like drives to the opponent's house and beats them up or something like that. And reflecting on all this, I'm thinking, has something like that ever actually happened, or was it just all myths? Well, I did a bit of research, and no, these aren't just myths. Some insane shit has happened. From a kid banned from Xbox Live by a court judge, to teenagers attempting murder after getting trash talked, all the way to predators exchanging Xbox gift cards for CP, this is a chronological history of Xbox Live related crimes. Our first Xbox Live crime story takes us all the way back to 2006 as we look at a bizarre grooming case involving a 20-year-old man and a 15-year-old who met each other on Halo of all places. Back in 2006, in Spokane, Washington, a 15-year-old girl was playing Halo 2 on Xbox Live when she befriended a 20-year-old man named Joshua Statar. This individual being from Granville, New York. On Joshua's MySpace account, it said that he was a materials handler for a pallet company and that he was an adamant Christian. His MySpace was peppered with Bible verses, where he had also written about how he aspired to be a Christian school teacher. But lingering deep beyond that Christian facade was a twisted and nefarious young man who had begun an obsession with a 15-year-old girl. Apparently, Mr. Statar had begun sending gifts to the girl's house, which included a bouquet of flowers and other items that signify affection. The parents, Mr. Dennis Garcia and his wife Jerry, would get wind of what was going on and returned all of the gifts to the sender. But that didn't stop the obsessed Joshua, who was reportedly flooding the young girl's phone with hundreds of text messages all throughout the year of 2007. The mother was able to change her daughter's number, but the committed stalker got the young girl's new number through a mutual friend and began sending even more texts. The girl's family basically spent a whole year telling Josh to leave them alone, but he didn't listen, and it eventually got worse when Josh decided that the best course of action was to actually drive 40 hours cross-country to the girl's residence so that he could meet her in person. When Josh arrived to the area late at night after his long journey, he began driving by the young girl's home, all the while sending obsessively personal text messages to her that detailed his propensity for his stalkerish behavior, describing the vehicle he was in to the girl as a gray Oldsmobile. And on this evening, the parents would report seeing a gray Oldsmobile in the neighborhood. He was most certainly nearby. Sometime later, when he apparently wasn't getting enough attention from his victim, Josh then upped the ante by sending a message to the girl that read, quote, "Tell the cops that I'm going to rape you and your sister." Naturally, this message got everyone's attention, and thus the police were notified, and they arrested Josh a short time later at a local Econo Lodge on December 29th of 2007. While being questioned by police, he told officers that he was able to get the girl's information by simply Googling her name after he played Halo with her. But officers also learned something even more concerning. It turned out this was not the first time Josh had been near the girl's residence. On October 23rd, 2007, Josh had secretly flown out to Spokane and ordered a U-Haul van to drive by the victim's home. Her family was totally unaware of this. It was also found that Josh had discovered the cousin of his first stalking victim, which was a young girl. He also began harassing this individual as well with text messages until the police stepped in and had him stop. After being arrested, Josh would later post bail and was given a no-contact order. During this, a media outlet interviewed the stalker, where Josh would say the following. He says, quote, "I didn't do anything wrong. I'm not sick. I'm not crazy. Everyone thinks I am. I don't have perverted thoughts. I don't belong in jail. I'm not dangerous." This extremely unstable Halo player would be arrested again in January of 2008 after the authorities learned that Josh had attempted to get in touch with the minor after trying to volunteer at her local high school, which reportedly violated the no-contact order. Later on November 5th of 2008, Josh was released from the Spokane County Jail after pleading guilty to felony stalking and 2 counts of violating a protective order. He was given 2 years probation and a no-contact order on the victim, as well as being ordered to seek mental health treatment. It seemed that things would not go according to plan, though, as in January of 2010, a fugitive from justice warrant was issued against Joshua by the Washington State Department of Corrections after he had reportedly escaped from community custody. He was later located in his hometown area of Granville, New York, and was arrested on January 2nd of 2010. Now, as of 2010, there haven't really been any other updates that I can find except for this one. There's an obituary for Joshua Ryan Statar, who died suddenly on July 10th of 2013. The dates here do kind of match up. This Joshua was born October 7th of 1987, which would have made him 20 years old in 2007. and the pictures look similar to the one showcased in other articles, and he was described in the obituary as a very devout Christian. Although the obituary states he lived in Houston, Texas, it does provide detail that he grew up in Granville, New York, which is where articles have described Josh as being from. So I'm pretty confident that this is actually him, and Josh Stetter is actually dead now. So if that's the case, his victims don't have to worry about him any longer because he's dead.
When it comes to security here at Wavy Industries, I only work with the best. This video is sponsored by Simply Safe. With internet ops around every corner, I keep my domain locked down with Simply Safe cameras, motion sensors, panic buttons, keypads, entryway monitors, and more. Simply Safe coupled with my vicious attack dog Hank, you're gonna have a bad time trying to get in here. Simply Safe is easy to set up and install. Download the app, plug into Simply Safe base, and linking devices like sensors and cameras is all done in 1 or 2 button presses for most of them. The app itself is super robust, allowing you to live view your cameras and arm or disarm the system remotely. That's pretty much all there is to say, right?
You forgot to mention Simply Safe Active Guard.
I almost forgot, sorry, I'll get that. With Simply Safe Active Guard, monitoring agents react in real time to suspicious individuals approaching your home. They can see and speak to them, trigger alarms and spotlights, or even request urgent police be dispatched. All that before a break-in happens. No other home security system offers protection like this both inside and outside the home. So protect your home or place of business like I have with Simply Safe. You all can save 60% on your Simply Safe security system when you sign up for our free Select Professional Monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplysafe.com/wavywebsurf to customize yours. There's no safe like Simply Safe.
Jumping to 2009, we have a criminal who used Xbox Live reward points and gift cards to solicit inappropriate pictures from the underage. From the years of 2009 to 2010, 22-year-old Timothy Wayne Hammerstone of Polk City, Florida, was working as an AMC movie theater clerk at Walt Disney World. And in his spare time, when not working here, he played a lot of Xbox and had accumulated quite a bit of Xbox reward points that could be redeemed to purchase digital Xbox gift cards. These cards naturally could be used by anyone who had them to purchase games or DLC content on Xbox Live. Timothy had a lot of points and a lot of digital gift cards purchased using them. And it sadly appears that the man was using his Xbox Live wealth to persuade and solicit nudes from underage boys as young as 10 years old, using Xbox Live and his console. The story goes that in December of 2009, Mr. Hammerstone had invited over a 10-year-old boy that he had met online using Xbox. There would also be other minors that Mr. Hammerstone interacted with, but it was reported that there was only one victim, at least in terms of, sexual stuff. Timothy Hammerstone would allegedly pay for the boy's access to online games and essentially groom him. In an effort to get illegal material from this child, Timothy would explain to the kid that he was in fact gay, and his mother refused to allow him to look at pornography. So Timothy said to satisfy his needs, he had to go out and find his own pictures, which was the reason why he was talking to this kid. And for these pictures, he allegedly stated that he would exchange $20 worth of Xbox gaming points. Or gift cards, I guess, would be the actual tradable currency. The boy agreed to this illegal exchange, and as it continued, Hammerstone would describe in detail what poses he wanted the boy to use when he's taking the photos. Later in 2010, the minor's mother had learned about these interactions and reported it to her local authorities in Folsom City, California, who in turn sent the information to the Polk City authorities in Timothy's local area on August 25th of 2010. The police then arrested and charged Mr. Hammerstone on August 26th of 2010 with 16 counts of child pornography after searching his premises and finding a flash drive that contained 16 images of underage boys displaying their genitals. The detective seized Timothy's flash drive, his Xbox gaming console, a desktop computer, and a laptop. Authorities would later call this case a, quote, classic child predator case. And when reached out to for comment, Disney spokesperson Andrea Finger said that Hammerstone was a former employee and no longer worked for the company. I couldn't find information in regard to how long Mr. Hammerstone was sentenced to, but records online indicate that he was convicted on October 17th of 2018, and he is on the sex offender registry. Moving forward to 2010, we have the case of Justin May. It's a complex crime involving the man hacking into proprietary files at a gaming convention and stealing an unreleased video game that resulted in serious legal trouble and a ban from Xbox Live. In March of 2010, 20-year-old Justin May from Delaware attended the inaugural PAX East Expo in Boston, Massachusetts. However, unlike his fellow peers that attended as well, Justin had a different goal, a sort of Mission Impossible espionage-esque strategy to attain the inner workings and proprietary data regarding games that were being advertised during this specific expo. You see, Justin brought his laptop with him along with other equipment, and on the last day of the show, the young man came across a neglected computer that previously was being used at the booth for the developers of Atomic Games. Seeing his chance, Justin leapt into action, transferring the source code of the game Breach, which had been based off of a CIA training simulator, to his laptop. However, not everything went according to plan. Justin was not conspicuous. He had all of his hacking gear out, and when he was like 14 megabytes into downloading a 2-gig game, he got caught. He stuck out like a sore thumb, and it wouldn't be long before Atomic representatives noticed him getting into this computer. As they went to confront Justin, he simply dipped out of the area and took off running. He was chased all the way through the expo until he was finally caught and arrested, charged with 1 count of larceny over $250 and buying, selling, receiving stolen trade secrets, where he faced up to 5 years in prison and a $25,000 fine on the first charge, and 5 years in prison and a $500 fine on the second. Afterwards, Justin posted his $200 cash bail, and on October 27th, 2010, the Boston Suffolk County Municipal Court ruled that the now 21-year-old Justin May would not be allowed to access Xbox Live for 18 months. And if he went against this order, the court would proceed further with his charges. If he stayed offline, the charges would be dropped and Justin would face no prison time. In court, he was told, quote, "Stay in school, do not reoffend, stay off Xbox Live websites, and forfeit over your computer." Atomic Games president Peter Tomte announced that the company was pleased with the district attorney's handling of the case, stating, had he been able to post Breach on the internet for download and then been caught, he would have likely ended up serving time in jail. Justin had stated that he plans to continue to attend Delaware Technical and Community College. Interestingly, though, years later, a spokesman for the college said that there were zero records of any sort of evidence that indicated Justin May had attended this school in the first place. Nonetheless, Justin got by with a slap on the wrist. Now, you would think that perhaps this would be, the end of Justin's hacking antics. Maybe he figured that this leniency from the court was a chance to start over and work within the legal boundaries of the law, but Justin basically said fuck that. After 2010, Justin began a notorious career, hacking and stealing source codes from all sorts of games, being connected to many multi-million-dollar cyber thefts. He's reportedly been linked to the online theft of a $100 million video game code belonging to Xbox and other companies. In addition to this, he's been in and out of trouble with the FBI related to hacking. If anything, this attempt at breaching Breach's source code was nothing more than him beta testing his own criminal hacking enterprise. In regards to being implicated for these hackings, Justin has denied all allegations, though his denials couldn't stand in front of evidence, as he would eventually be arrested and charged with activities related to this. In 2021, Justin would plead guilty to 42 counts of mail fraud, 10 counts of money laundering, 3 counts of interstate transportation of goods obtained by fraud, and 2 counts of tax evasion. All of these counts stem from 2 separate cases, and he would eventually be sentenced to 7 years and 8 months in prison with 5 years of supervised release, while being ordered to pay more than $4 million in restitution and a $300,000 forfeiture. What May was arrested for had to do with him and others registering false domain names and emails, which were then used to submit false warranty claims to companies like Microsoft, Lenovo, Cisco, etc. It was a massive scam that has now led to him being behind bars for some time.
Be secured.
July of 2012 in Oakland, California, 20-year-old Kevin Kemp lived a few doors down from his 17-year-old friend, and these two would routinely participate in PvP co-op games against one another, each in their respective homes, playing on their 360s live, communicating with headsets. But as we all know, sometimes a gamer cannot control their anger in the heat of the moment. Usually it's just screaming and yelling, but on rare occasions things can get quite a bit vicious. What started off as Kemp and his buddy having friendly banter and shit-talking translated into serious frustrations and violent threats that culminated with Kemp issuing a challenge to his friend over the headset. That challenge being, come fight me in person, bitch.
We were just talking on the headset. And I'm like, bro, if you want to do this, you come over to my house right now and we'll do this right now.
But what Kemp didn't realize is that his friend had gone from angry to potentially murderous. As soon as Kemp said what he said, he heard his friend's headset drop to the floor. And almost immediately, the friend had arrived at Kemp's front door, barged through past Kemp's mother towards his room. When Kemp's friend appeared at his bedroom door, it turned out that his buddy didn't come to finish a simple fight. He had come to take a life, as the irate gamer possessed a firearm and pointed it straight at Kemp's head. He walks up to my room and he points the gun right at me and takes out the clip and shows his bullet, puts it back in the gun, tries to shoot me, and he shot it and it went right past my head. Almost hit me. Turned out his friend had a backup plan. Unsheathing a knife and stabbing his pal 22 times across his body, narrowly missing Kemp's heart and major arteries across his chest. The angry 17-year-old gamer then fled the scene while paramedics were called and tended to Kemp's wounds. Onlookers observed that Kemp was covered in blood, but luckily he survived and was taken to the hospital. The murderous teenage Xbox Live player was subsequently arrested and faced one charge of burglary and 2 counts of attempted murder and would be tried as an adult. Later, Kemp would say that he believed his friendship with the murderous 17-year-old was in fact over, as he showed the local media the numerous scars that he got from his encounter. It's safe to say that gamers don't necessarily make good killers, given the 17-year-old had his victim at point-blank range and still missed, then stabbed him 22 times, and that didn't get the job done. Now, unfortunately, the attempted murder suspect went unnamed in every article written about the incident.
Now, I think that dude who got stabbed and almost shot was the luckiest person I know.
Any sort of update on his sentencing or what's happened to him these days, but yeah. Imagine your house gets robbed while mid-team deathmatch on Black Ops 2. This is exactly what happens during the 2014 Call of Duty robbery story. On April Fool's Day in 2014, in an Eastbourne, East Sussex home in England, 19-year-old Jay Giorgio, along with an accomplice, broke in and robbed the place. Jay, who was armed with an imitation handgun, pistol whipped one of the 3 victims of the home, as both robbers threatened to shoot and stab their captives if they didn't hand over the money or drugs that were in the house. Eventually, the thieves then tied up the victims and took a laptop, a few mobile phones, and an Xbox gaming console. Now, what these criminals did not realize is that before they had broken in, one of the residents of the house had been playing a game of Call of Duty Black Ops 2 on Xbox Live, and the person playing with them was a friend in the nearby town of Brighton. So as they're robbing the place, this friend is hearing everything through his headset and calls the police. So once Giorgio left the premises, he was already being hunted by the British authorities and was arrested 2 hours later, only a mile away from where the crime had taken place. On July 11th of 2014, Jay was sentenced to 8 years in prison for the robbery and possession of an imitation firearm. The masked accomplice, however, was never reported as being caught, as he was indeed wearing a mask the entire time. But this person was described as being white with ginger hair, said to have been between the age of 20 and 25. Interestingly enough, Jay Giorgio would be released from prison, but would be recalled back to finish his sentence in 2022, though he did not heed this callback and actually mocked the police through social media. He was eventually apprehended, given more charges, and put in jail.
Backup's not coming. You want to get out of this alive? Better step up.
Xbox 360s were a hot commodity back in the day, not only for it being the key to Xbox Live, apparently some of them also contained keys of coke. This is the 2014 story of the Xbox coke smugglers. In late 2014, 22-year-old Felix Rodriguez, 26-year-old Nelson Martinez, 20-year-old Wilson Herrera, and 22-year-old Jeffries Herrera of Reading, Pennsylvania, had made plans to receive an assortment of illegal drugs through customs. Now, this is always a bad idea, especially a drug like cocaine. Usually drugs and other paraphernalia are instantly flagged by customs. But that being said, criminals keep the drug enforcement agencies on their toes by hiding drugs in interesting compartments, disguising them as everyday items, making them really hard to find. Now, the cocaine in this case that had been ordered by the group would be found and tracked. But the interesting aspect of this whole situation was how the illegal drugs were shipped. On October 8th of 2014, Homeland Security, along with the U.S. Customs and Border Protection Office of Philadelphia, contacted the Berks County Drug Task Force after being tipped off about kilos of cocaine being smuggled from the Dominican Republic into numerous addresses in Burke County. And one of the shipments that was discovered by authorities was reportedly labeled, quote, video game Xbox 360 use, which was sent to an address on the 500 block of Spruce Street in Reading, Pennsylvania. The shipment seemed like an ordinary Xbox video game console, but it was actually a game console stuffed with over 1,000 grams of cocaine, with a potential street value of over $100,000. On October 10th of 2014 at around 2 p.m., while investigators and undercover officers observed the address that the Xbox was destined to ship to, they spotted several men who they believed were waiting on the package. This included Rodriguez, Martinez, and Wilson, and Jeffries Herrera. Given that the authorities had already intercepted this package, they deployed an undercover operative to deliver that package to the address at around 3:30 p.m. It was Jeffries Herrera who allegedly accepted and signed for the parcel before heading back into his home. Not soon after that, it was reported that Jeffries had left the house with the parcel in tow and made his way to another property on Spruce Street, where he then met with the 3 other suspects. He placed the package into the trunk of a black Acura, and authorities began shadowing the vehicle. The vehicle traveled to another location at the 1600 block of Hancock Boulevard in Cumru Township, Pennsylvania. And soon after, police descended upon the house as the suspects attempted to flee on foot, but they were eventually apprehended and taken into custody. After obtaining search warrants for the homes on Spruce Street and Hancock Boulevard, police obtained a shitload of illegal items and paraphernalia that was used to ship this stuff. They found the 1,100 grams of cocaine with a street value of over $100,000, miscellaneous Xbox game parts and console parts, a heat sealer machine, miscellaneous packaging material related to cocaine, a cutting agent related to cocaine, over 14 cell phones, 5 counter surveillance video cameras, digital scales, and about $600 cash. Investigators also stated that they found Xbox gaming consoles on the kitchen table inside the Cumru Township home, which had been disassembled. They were using it to ship this stuff. Interestingly enough, when the package was seized by police, it was found to actually be an original Xbox, not the Xbox 360 that was advertised on the coke package. The group was charged with delivery of a controlled substance and other related offenses. Now, this whole thing would actually be part of an even larger drug trafficking ring that occurred from June to October of 2014. This activity included smuggling over 1 kilo of heroin and over 5 kilos of coke that were sent from Santo Domingo, Dominican Republic to Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and New York, where the hardcore drugs were hidden in items such as Xbox consoles, air filters, and projectors. There were over 11 suspects that were convicted and sentenced by July of 2015. This included our Xbox smugglers. Jeffries Herrera was sentenced to 57 months of imprisonment. Felix Rodriguez was sentenced to 87 months in prison. Nelson Martinez was given 63 months, and Wilson Herrera was sentenced to 120 months in prison. This next 2014 case involves a terminally online gamer with a vengeance who, along with his ring of online troublemakers, placed bomb threats at schools and locations that Xbox Live gaming events were being held. At the time, 22-year-old Matthew Tallis of Weathersfield, Connecticut went on a digital rampage in the year of 2014, becoming the bane of existence to many online. He and his Xbox gamer group called Team Crucifix or Die, or TCOD, would SWAT multiple facilities, including universities, 2 high schools in New Jersey, a high school in Texas, and they placed the call to the University of Connecticut's admissions department as a hoax on April 3rd of 2014. According to federal prosecutors, this event shut down the school for almost 3 hours. The group, who would eventually change its name to ISIS Gang and would be connected to hacker Julius Kivamaki, was made up of mostly people from the US and the United Kingdom that would use Skype calls to plan and participate in bomb threats and swattings, as well as intimidate government officials. They were a pretty intense group of black hat hackers that were notorious for harassing and swatting many events, establishments, and celebrities. One particular instance pertained to them calling the Sandy Hook Elementary School and issuing a threat just a couple of years after the mass shooting in 2012. It's believed that Tallis actually joined the group after he was harassed by them. And, to prevent further abuse from them, he decided to follow a couple of members on Twitter. Not only would he follow them on Twitter, Tallis would eventually fully join the group. And he himself would be responsible for identifying potential institutions that they could hit next with hoax bomb threats and telephone calls. Tallis participated in his first swatting when he, along with others, made a call to the Hebron High School in Carrollton, Texas, and reported that a student was in possession of a firearm. The news of the swatting would make its way to Twitter, and a couple of members of the group took responsibility for the bomb threat in deleted tweets, including one that showed a screenshot of the Skype call. Tallis also participated in bomb threats against New Jersey high schools, UConn, Boston University, and the Boston Convention and Exhibition Center. The latter was hosting an exhibition tournament for gamers that had 60,000 in attendance when the bomb threat was received. The caller had claimed to be an Iraqi national who said they were working for Allah, named Matt Hag. And this person said that they had placed explosives around the building the night before. However, it would come to a head when Tallis would be found out and arrested on September 3rd of 2014 on charges stemming from the bomb threat called to the University of Connecticut. He then pled guilty in June of 2015 to conspiring to engage in the malicious conveying of false information. For participating in a total of 6 swattings, Matt Tallis would be sentenced to a year and a day in prison on October 13th of 2015. After his stay in prison, he would be given 3 years of supervised release. Jesus Christ, 2014 was an active year for Xbox crime, but probably the most impactful Xbox Live related crime that occurred this year was the extremely disruptive Lizard Squad hacks. Lizard Squad, for those who don't know, was a black hat hacking group that mostly targeted large corporations, specifically gaming-related ones, and routinely made attempts to disrupt their servers. Their stated goal was to expose security flaws, essentially put the egg on the face of Sony and Xbox for, they always would say it's like you're exposing your customers to danger, but they really just wanted to cause chaos. Now, 2014 was pretty much the pinnacle of Lizard Squad. Most of their notorious hackings happened then, and on one particularly noteworthy event, the collective assortment of black hat hackers would take responsibility for taking down the PlayStation Network and Xbox Live on Christmas Eve of 2014, leading to outrage amongst gamers worldwide. In early December, Lizard Squad had warned the community that they had planned to take down Microsoft and Sony's networks on Christmas Eve, claiming that they will be this generation's version of the Grinch. And as Christmas Eve rolled around, they made good on their promise. Basically how this happened was Lizard Squad, who was pretty much renowned for their DDoSing attacks, reportedly launched a massive distributed denial service attack that overloaded Sony and Microsoft's network with bogus requests. Like most black hat hackers, Lizard Squad moved around anonymously and discreetly, and when they communicated with the public, it was done through encrypted measures. And when asked by the media about why they did this crazy PlayStation Xbox Live hack, They shared some insight. They've made many statements in regard to why they wanted to do this, such as they wanted to do it, quote, for the laughs, and, quote, it would anger and reach the largest amount of people, going as far as to brag that they could, quote, take down the NASDAQ if they wanted to damage the economy. But apparently they were charitable and just wanted to fuck up Sony and Xbox, I guess. As Sony and Microsoft scrambled to offset the attacks and upgrade their security, a vigilante hacking group named the Finest Squad would attempt to fight fire with fire against their Black Hat predecessors by DDoSing Lizard Squad servers to stop the source of the attacks. Now, this all really began in early December as Lizard Squad was starting to attack the video game networks. But that's when the Finest Squad struck with their counterattack. The group then reportedly managed to break into the public Twitter accounts and websites connected to Lizard Squad members, releasing their names and photographs online. And unsurprisingly, not long after this, several Lizard Squad members would resign. Anyway, I quit, LOL. If I want you to contact me, you got my contact. Let's go, gang shit only. RIU 2001 to 2014. Others live tweeted their arrest. RIP, I'm going down for this one. Free Jordy. Just got out the station. Hashtag OTFG Lock Boys. What the fuck? Be back soon. They have a lot on me. They want me back for questioning in an hour. Yo, police are at my door. Aside from completely mollywopping some of Lizard Squad and basically finding all of their information that would lead to their arrests for crimes such as swatting, Finest Squad also revealed how the Black Hat hackers were able to take down the video game networks. So yeah, they essentially use a tactic that sends a bunch of web traffic to a single network, and all of this traffic takes the web server down, pretty much explaining what a DDoS is to the majority of people who never really heard that term in 2014. Revealing that a cost of such a potent attack only costs about $300 to do. And to make sure that no nefarious copycats could repeat Lizard Squad's antics, the Finest Squad submitted information detailing the vulnerabilities discovered from the networks that were under attack. And as many of you are aware, Lizard Squad was successful in their venture, and Sony and Xbox's servers for online play were knocked out not only for Christmas and the days following, but for like weeks afterwards. It was a huge issue. It was a clusterfuck for a bit, but the madness would die down in time. Needless to say, it was an eventful Christmas online. A full-blown hacker war, back and forth negotiations, and a lot of angry gamers screaming at their Xboxes and PlayStations. So the native Xbox Live voice chat, it certainly was more popular back in the day. It's kind of been made obsolete by Discord and voice chats like that. But if you're an OG, you certainly remember how poppin' Xbox Live voice chat could get.
What a fucking homo. He did. Nigga said he did.
And I think it goes without saying that Xbox Live voice chat has a history of abuse. Sadly, some have used it to facilitate inappropriate relationships, as with the Sammy Lee Garcia case from 2018. 19-year-old Sammy Lee Garcia of Roswell, New Mexico had connected with a 13-year-old girl from Gilbert, Arizona on Xbox Live. And what started out as two players interacting through games soon turned sexual as they began to plan a rendezvous with one another, where Sammy would journey across state lines and allegedly have multiple sexual encounters with the minor. This sexual abuse and assault was said to have taken place on 3 occasions, taking place at the girl's home and a Best Western Inn. During one of these occasions, it was reported that Sammy had brought the minor chocolates that were laced with THC, but it would be the Best Western Legacy visit that would be Sammy's undoing. You see, it seemed the minor's mother had become aware of Sammy's trips across state lines to have illegal sexual conduct with her underage daughter. Thus, immediately, the mother reported this to the Gilbert Police Department in Arizona. And on November 1st of 2018, Sammy was confronted by the mother, where he admitted to engaging in sexual acts with the minor, and the police soon arrived and arrested and charged Sammy with 12 counts of sexual conduct with the minor and 2 counts of contributing to the delinquency of a minor. During their investigation, police interviewed the victim, where she stated that she had in fact engaged in said activity on 2 occasions at the hotel. Therefore, the authorities served a search warrant to the Best Western Legacy Inn, which provided them with an ample amount of evidence consisting of video footage of the 2 together, along with used condoms and other biological evidence. Later, the victim would also tell police that there were at least 9 different instances of sexual conduct between her and Garcia, which occurred at the victim's bedroom at her Gilbert home. Court documents state that Garcia admitted to knowingly engaging in sexual conduct with the underage victim, stating that he understood that his actions were against the law, but did not think his actions were morally wrong. He also admitted to driving across state lines from New Mexico with the intentions of having sexual encounters with a minor, along with sneaking into the mother's home and using the hotel room. As far as I can find, court proceedings are still pending in this case. The last story in today's chronology comes from 2022, and it's one of the most offbeat. It's the case of Anthony Vigiano, a man who operated an illegal stock trading ring via Xbox Live Chat. Anthony Vigiano, a 27-year-old successful man from Long Island, who at one point worked as an analyst for Goldman Sachs and won an award at the University of Tampa's Ethics Invitational in 2018 for conducting business with integrity. Well, what if I told you this guy would throw his entire career out of the window, facing federal indictments, all due to him hanging out with his buddies on Xbox Live? How does that happen? Now, I use the term hanging out with his buddies rather loosely because it turns out Vigiano was allegedly using his experience, working with hedge fund companies like Blackstone and Goldman Sachs to do a bit of inside trading with his friends, tipping them off to upcoming mergers and acquisitions that would boost the stock prices of the respective companies. Between the years of 2021 and 2023, Anthony was allegedly doing all of this through the encrypted app Signal and the Xbox video game console Chat, feeding confidential financial information to his friend, 35-year-old Christopher Salamone, who grew up on the same block as Anthony. Basically, they'd play games together, and Anthony would give a few insider trading tips to his buddies. And those friends would tell their families, and thus began a chain reaction of everyone, allegedly getting in on the trades early and making money. Manhattan federal prosecutors allege that these tips led to over $300,000 in illicit gains. Now, early on, Anthony had been confident that the FBI were not going to find anything. But once both he and his friend Christopher were interviewed by them, it seemed that Christopher allegedly folded and began recording Anthony during their conversations in June of 2022. During these recordings, Vigiano can sort of be braggadociously heard, assuring his friends that the police or the feds wouldn't be able to trace their communications regarding the illegal stock tips, despite him being recorded the entire time. Salamone would later plead guilty to 3 counts of securities fraud and 1 count of conspiracy as he continued to cooperate with investigators. However, there would be even more, as it was reported that a college buddy of Vigiano, 27-year-old Stephen Farlano, had allegedly pocketed around $114,000 based on illegal tips. An indictment also named 26-year-old Nathan Bleckley, a U.S. Army captain who had also attended college with Mr. Vigiano. It's being alleged that he made $25,000 based on tips that he received from Forlano, which were similar to the tips received from Mr. Vigiano. But luckily for Bleckley, he was not facing criminal charges and is working with the FBI. Vigiano and Forlano were arrested in May of 2023, and in his indictment, Mr. Vigiano faced 9 securities fraud and conspiracy charges. Mr. Forlano faced 4 conspiracy charges, and all 4 of the men were facing civil charges from the SEC. Later, Anthony pled guilty in January of 2024, and on July 17, 2024, Anthony Vigiano would be sentenced to 28 months in prison and admitted that his conduct was catastrophically stupid. Forlano was also sentenced to 13 months in prison, and Salamone was given probation. And well, you've made it to the end. Let me know what you guys thought about this video down below in the comments section, and let me know who or what you want me to talk about next. I want to give a major shout out to my patrons. I appreciate you guys. Wavy Web Surf out. Peace.
Am I crazy? Am I being a little too crazy here? I feel like they're like the media is like kind of celebratory of the situation. Like it almost feels like there's an air of excitement that like, oh, Trump is back, ratings are back, we're doing it. They blame the voters that are blaming the candidate. I know. I don't know. There is something that needs to be studied about the mind of the liberal, the mindset of the liberal that is a party loyalist that puts party above country at every step. And I find it very strange. I find it very odd. They keep losing over and over again, but they are so ideologically committed to the Democratic Party. And the Democratic Party is ideologically committed to, I think those people, just like how quickly they swapped away from Joe Biden to Kamala Harris, would most likely also be on board with whatever the Democratic Party represents. Okay? If the Democratic Party tomorrow decided to, for example, be a socialist party or socialist adjacent, like actual social democratic party, plenty of those people would be riding or dying for it. They just need someone that they feel like they're on board with. They need an in-group. Okay? Kaya. Place. Anyway, let's see what the liberals are saying about
Special edition of CBS Mornings. Donald Trump will be the 47th president of the United States. That's according to our CBS News projection. Donald Trump is the first president since Grover Cleveland to be elected to non-consecutive terms. He will also become the oldest president ever sworn into office, beating President Biden's mark of 78 years old in 2021 by just a few months.
Trump needed 270 electoral college votes to defeat Vice President Kamala Harris, and he's done it. In the end, the race was not as close as many predicted, with Trump not only beating Harris in key battleground states, but also winning the popular vote, something he's never done before.
And as we showed you at the top, the former president celebrated last night at his Mar-a-Lago estate, along with family, friends, and allies. CBS News projects he will also have help in Congress. The Senate has flipped to Republican control. The House is still a toss-up, and of course, he has a conservative majority on the Supreme Court as well.
Well, Tony DeCopel had a late night and an early morning covering all of this for us. He's across from Mar-a-Lago. He's in West Palm Beach this morning. Tony, good evening, good morning. What can you tell us? What is the latest there?
Gail, you and me both. What a late night and what a moment in American history. Really a wow moment in American history. One of the greatest comebacks in political history, as many people put it to me last night. Think about this. A twice impeached, 4 times indicted, once convicted candidate now appears, or is at this point, the president-elect of the United States for a second time. And inside that Trump watch party headquarters, I noticed the first bubbles of excitement, of exuberance around 9 p.m. There was dancing full on the floor by 11 p.m. And after the network started projecting Pennsylvania and then Wisconsin in Donald Trump's favor, pure joy from his supporters. I asked people to summarize how they were feeling in one word. I got one person telling me fantastic, another relieved, still another vindicated. And then, of course, they heard from the now president-elect himself.
We overcame obstacles that nobody thought possible, and it is now clear.
Dude, I feel like am I crazy? Am I being a little too crazy here? I feel like they're like the media is like kind of celebratory of the situation. Like it almost feels like there's an air of excitement that like, oh, Trump is back, ratings are back, we're doing it. Like we're gonna do the damn thing. We're gonna get the fucking ratings. But yeah, you have these people with the wrong positions. I don't know how you see this and think the answer is she didn't run left enough.